Hey, we hit 1,000 or 3,000.
3,000. Yeah, we did.
That's awesome.
Big milestone.
Big milestone today. Yay. Fantastic.
And how is everyone else doing? Melanie, welcome. Patrick. Uh, I'm gonna mispronounce this, but Roztek,
Rostek? I don't know.
new in the stream.
Melanie, we
Feel
will
free
see
to
you.
correct us on your name.
We will see you later if you have to hop out. No worries, no worries.
Maddie, Vem, and Methan, welcome. Today we are speaking about the man, the myth, the legend.
Sirius Black.
Favorite scapegoat, Sirius Black. And I think Sirius, this is a weird one because Dumbledore and Snape are definitely grayish characters where you can feel one way or another about them. But I feel for the most part, the majority of people like Sirius.
I think Sirius is a lot of people's uh one of their favorite characters. A lot of people really love Sirius.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I think it's
I mean, I love
common.
Sirius. He's one of my favorite characters.
He's one of my favorite characters. Always has been.
So I guess we'll have to do a little devil's advocate today to kind of argue against
we could
just to create a little conflict so this doesn't turn into Sirius is such a beaut. He's just so great.
I mean, we could do that. That's fine. I'm sure there'll be some devil's advocacy in here, though, based on some of Sirius's more questionable decisions.
Oh yeah, 100%.
He's made some interesting ones. He was cruel during his school days, but suffered a lot in prison.
Yeah.
Lola, what's your deal over there?
I mean, even
you crying an awful lot over there.
I kind of want to hold off a couple minutes so everyone who wants to get in can get in.
No,
before we delve too deep. But
we don't have to go
school
right
days. School days is a really gray area because as a teen, they're doing pranks and everything.
Mm-hmm.
It might not necessarily be cruel. Well, I guess some of them turned out cruel, but was malice intended.
I mean, he did some pretty bad things because he was bored.
Yeah.
So, hi, Katie.
Hey, Katie, welcome.
Yeah, we'll get it. We'll get there. We'll get there. We'll get all up in there in a little bit. We just want to give everybody some time to hop in.
So, all right. How about we start it like this? So, you think he's an awesome character. I think he's an awesome character. Why don't you tell us why you think he's an awesome character before we start getting into more of the statistics and details to say whether he is a character?
I think he's actually a very complicated character when you look at him. I think he is a manifestation of, number one, a tragic Greek hero. Number two, he is one of the most influential father figures that Harry has and teaches him some very valid and important lessons. Specific ones that say he doesn't get from Lupin or Dumbledore or even Snape. Like, he gets very specific lessons from Sirius. I think Sirius also is a really great demonstration of how recovery from mental illness is not a clean cut easy road to go down.
Yeah.
So those are the big nuggets of why I think Sirius is great.
Okay.
Why do you think Sirius is great?
Probably just because, other than the Snape thing, a lot of the I guess evil things that he may have been accused of doing
Mm-hmm.
were never anything really caused by him. He was just kind of in a wrong place, wrong time
Mm-hmm.
type thing.
I also love how just deeply flawed he is.
Mm.
And it's his flaws that are his undoing. So sad. So sad. And he's funny and he's handsome. Other
There you
good
go.
points. Those are other
That
good
Sirius Black smile.
That's right.
How could you hate that?
No one could resist it. I don't think anyone could resist it.
J.K. described him and James as bullies, not only to Snape, but to other children. Now, did J.K. herself actually describe them as bullies, or was it just from the text? Because who was it that tells... Well, I mean, does Lupin ever tell them that they were bullies? Like, Harry
No.
infers it from Snape's worst memory.
Lupin.
And we do know that they did bully Snape.
Lupin.
Like, that is guaranteed.
Yeah.
But whether or not they did it to other children, I don't know. Or if
Maddie is saying, yeah, she did.
Oh, she did? Okay. All right. I don't need to even pose my argument for that then.
I would think it's very clear from the text as well. But Lupin pretty much kind of...
See, I always pictured them more of Fred and George. Not necessarily bullies. They kind of... Like, kids may have been victims of their pranks, but they was never, like, directed towards them, other than Snape.
I think...
Well, maybe Slytherins, but...
Slytherins in general probably got it a lot. Katie says Sirius might have been a bully to Snape as a child, but Snape continued being a bully as an adult, whereas Sirius didn't behave that way as an adult. Well, they both had very different experiences, didn't they?
I guess so.
They did. Their lives went in totally way different directions, way different consequences for their actions.
Went in way different directions, but they did start at about the same, growing up in neglectful, abusive households.
But there were marked differences there between those households.
Well, yeah.
Snape
Sirius
grew up
pure blood.
Right. Sirius had this pure blood. Are we getting too far ahead? Do we have everybody here? Because now we're getting into it.
No, I think
okay.
We can get into it now.
Sirius had a very privileged upbringing with a huge amount of expectations about who he was supposed to be because he's a Black.
Mm.
And Sirius spends the entire time defying all of that, right? Snape grows up in an actively abusive household. No money, very poor. The dynamic is different. And Snape doesn't do what Sirius did. Sirius has just this innate fire within his being to say, F this, I'm not doing this. I'm going to go do the other thing even harder because what you want me to do, I'm going to go do the other thing. And I'm going to do it way harder in your face. And that's not who Snape is as a person. Snape doesn't do that. He kind of suffers in silence about it, and just they're just not the same person. And then Sirius finds James and Remus and Peter and pledges unfounding loyalty to them. And Snape
finds
Snape finds
Mulciba and all the Death Eaters and pledges.
Well, first Snape finds Lily.
Okay, yeah.
First Snape finds Lily. And that runs its course.
Mm.
Oh, hang on. She said they pranked, were stuck up, arrogant, bullied Snape and others, her exact words. They were, Maddie, but now how much of their childhood are we supposed to impose onto their adult characters? That's where I feel we get the waters muddy. Alistair says, hello. Sirius hates everything about his family, including everyone but him being in Slytherin. Everyone but him being put in Slytherin.
That's true. I actually have a point about that. And if we want to go down that road.
I think Sirius's influences were a lot more positive and supportive because he had James, he had Remus, he had Peter, and he had James's parents.
That's true.
That were able to guide and support him. And as James grew out of his arrogance and his bullying, Sirius follows suit with him. Whereas Snape does not have those influences in his life. He loses the one he had, and then he gets sucked down that awful dark rabbit hole of Death Eater-ness.
That's true.
And then Sirius and Snape both experience the deaths of these people that they love more than anything through the consequences of their own actions.
That's true. I think this might be a good segue for this. So I think a lot of people would like to blame, Sirius's family and stuff for how he became, which he kind of is, but in a different way. I think we see the two dynamics with Andromeda and Sirius. Like, Andromeda wanted to get away from the family.
Yep.
Sirius, defied the family and wanted to get away.
Yep.
But Andromeda, I think, wanted to get away more than she wanted to defy the family. She was just like, okay, I'm done, I'm leaving. Yeah. Sirius always had this drive to
stick it to him,
kind of burn down his family house. Yeah, he wanted to just stick it to them, and I think a lot of that is the reason why his stubbornness is really why a lot of the bad things that happen to him does happen.
Yeah, take his imprisonment. Sirius is so dead set loyal to his friends. He will do anything for his friends. He will die for his friends. He will illegally become an animagus for his friends. He will literally do things you probably shouldn't do if it means helping his friends.
Yeah.
So then he says Peter should be secret keeper, and then all the shit goes down. And instead of going to Dumbledore and explaining what happened, and explaining he's not the secret keeper, Peter betrayed us, blah, 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 blah. His intense pain and loyalty to James, he can't sit by and let somebody else do the job. He's got to go get Peter. He's got to exact revenge. He's got to, avenge James for all of this, because it's his fault that they're there in the first place. Mm-hmm. And because of that, all those muggles get blown up. Sirius gets framed for the everything. And it's that quality in him that undoes him every single time and ultimately leads to his death. Because he does the same thing with Harry in 5. He can't sit by and let other people do it. He's got to go save Harry. He's got to go get him. And it ends badly every time.
It ends very badly for him.
It's that stubbornness, it's that passionate fire. It's that extreme loyalty. It's bites him in the butt every time.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh.
And yeah, that's true. Sirius did hate the whole pureblood thing before James, so James didn't have that influence on him.
No, because the Potters didn't think that way.
No.
They didn't have the pureblood mania
But
that Sirius grew up with.
I think everything after that, I think James influenced.
I think so.
I think the Marauders was a way for him to kind of focus his anger on the purebloods and doing the pranks and that
potentially.
Thing. No.
And we don't really know. We don't really know what. Can we briefly talk about how great Kreacher was once we got to know him? We can talk about Kreacher.
Yeah, okay.
Kreacher's a big part of it.
Why don't we use that as a segue? So we kind of talked about why he is good in spite of what he did. Because his dedication to his friends.
Mm-hmm.
But what about the things that make him a bad person? And I think there's no way we can talk about that without speaking about Kreacher and how he treated Kreacher.
His relationship with Kreacher is one of the more interesting dynamics about his character. And it's funny how we get that line from Sirius in book 4 when they're talking to him in the cave where he says, judge a man by how he treats his inferiors.
Mm-hmm.
Don't judge a man by how he treats his
equals.
Judge him by how he treats his inferiors. And then we get to book 5, and he literally is so awful to Kreacher. He's so terrible. He's so mean to him.
So that could be just a huge one when we think about why he's bad. Like, he kind of gave the game away himself.
I really do believe, and this is a personal opinion, I do think that Sirius did not have it in him. I don't think he was capable of being kind to Kreacher. I don't think it was in him. Much in the same way that I don't think it was possible for Snape to ever be kind to Hermione. I don't think Snape was capable of ever being nice to Hermione in the same way that I don't think Sirius was ever capable of being nice to Kreacher. He's a physical manifestation of his childhood and all of that business. Kreacher's talking about his mom all the time. My mistress, blood traitors in the house. That must have driven Sirius absolutely up the wall. I don't think he could bring it in himself to be nice to Kreacher.
Yeah, but he still says that, and
then
it isn't that you gotta be nice to him; it's that you don't be mean to him. He was pretty mean to him.
Mike also says, let's not forget that he was not nice to his mom's portrait either.
I feel like that's
justified.
That's very justified.
We don't see Sirius treating other house elves badly. It's just Kreacher he can't stand. That's true. Yeah. I'm sure if Sirius met Dobby, he'd probably be nice to him.
You would think.
I wouldn't see...
Or is he just traumatized from all house elves?
Because of Kreacher.
Or maybe after he finds out that he almost killed Harry. Multiple times.
I think in the instance of Kreacher, it's that he's literally a living, breathing embodiment of his household. And Kreacher is literally probably saying things all the time that Sirius heard growing up.
That's true.
Like, Kreacher says that awful shit all the time. My no blood traitors in my mistress's house. If she knew what her son was doing, like, a little bit, I guess, in Sirius's defense is Kreacher does not help his case very much either.
Okay, touche. You got me there. Yeah.
Don't get
But
me
still.
wrong, my mom is one of the most unpleasant people you could ever meet. I still love her and respect her, though. Sirius couldn't say the same. No.
Yeah, pretty much. Because I don't think he. I think he was just too different. And honestly, she was
A horrible person.
a horrible person. But that being said, we do only get Sirius's
Side of
it. So
it.
maybe she wasn't quite as bad as he
Well-
says, but from the portrait, kind of confirms it.
Also, Dumbledore said that Sirius was kind to house elves in general, but Kreacher reminded him too much of the house he was desperate to get away from, especially since he couldn't leave. That's also true. Sirius had to be in the house with Kreacher 24 hours a day and couldn't leave.
Surprised he didn't just feed him to Buckbeak.
Yeah, like, not only is Kreacher this physical manifestation, but then also Sirius is suffering from some extreme mental issues.
Isolation, depression.
I'm sure he has PTSD.
Oh, yes.
Some kind of, but the depression and the isolation, the emotional arrested development, he hasn't had the chance to mature over the last 12, 13 years.
Yeah. And finally he's out and he has this chance to mature and they just lock him in with Buckbeak.
Yeah.
So
one of Dumbledore's worst decisions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, it was.
It was not a good choice.
No, definitely not. You know, even if you're gonna say lock him up, like, find a different place. Chamber of Secrets would have been better.
Chamber of Secrets probably would have been better.
You know, Chamber of Secrets is free now. There's no basilisk in there.
Nope.
Just, you know, you just gotta get used to the damp.
And multiple members of the Order of the Phoenix would have been right there to keep an eye on him.
Exactly.
Although they'd have to have Harry open it up every single time they needed to go down there to give him anything.
Apparently not, because you don't have to be parcel-tongued to speak it. Because Ron figured it out.
Well, that's because Ron pays attention and has heard Harry do it enough times that I think Ron could effectively mimic it.
But it makes me wonder, so...
Oh, no. Oh, never mind. What didn't help was Dumbledore basically imprisoned Sirius with Kreacher without care of the mental damage it would cause.
Yeah.
Are we experiencing buffering? I'm not sure the wizarding world on the whole thinks much about mental health. No, they don't. If they did, Cho would have gotten counseling after book 4.
Yeah.
Because she needed it. I think the thing with Dumbledore is that he didn't think about it much. I think so much else was going on that Dumbledore said, "This is what we're gonna do," and I don't think saw the writing on the wall of what the potential consequences of doing that to Sirius could be.
Yeah.
Hello,
Dan.
Hi, Dan. Yep. Hopefully it corrects itself.
Or
we were kind of talking about Dumbledore locking Sirius up.
Okay. Oh man, and I had a point about that, but then that happened, and it kind of took away my train of thought.
Okay. I think Dumbledore didn't like Sirius. I think he held his past against him. Dumbledore likes to play favorites. Oh.
Mm,
Shots fired in Dumbledore's direction.
maybe.
I think Dumbledore saw Sirius as a big potential liability.
Yeah. Or maybe Snape, got into his mind a little bit.
Snape.
Well, we know he can do that.
Yeah,
It's one of the best. So
it's true. I'm pretty sure Dumbledore though could probably block that, but I don't know if maybe he can't block
it's
Snape.
because Snape's the best. Why did he tell Harry to go to Snape?
Yep, Snape is the best. That's true.
Snape is the best legilimens next to Voldemort.
Yeah, maybe he did. Crept into Dumbledore's mind a little bit and said, no. We're not going to do that. Katie says, I'm not sure Dumbledore plays favorites. It's an equal playing field on the chessboard. Buffering. Oh, God's sake. Everybody is a piece on the chessboard, right?
Right.
So to Dumbledore, it's not that he plays favorites, it's that one piece is a queen and one piece is a pawn. And you gotta sacrifice your pawns.
And Sirius is the pawn. Snape's the queen.
No, Harry's the queen. Pretty sure. Or maybe Harry's the king.
Harry would be the king.
Nah,
yeah. You gotta get him to checkmate.
Yeah, that's true. That's true, and the queen is just going all over the place, all over the board, just ruining everything for everybody. But either way, I don't think it's that Dumbledore plays favorites. I think that in the grand scheme of things, Dumbledore didn't consider Sirius and saw him as a bit of a liability. However, through Dumbledore's actions, he created an even bigger liability by what he did to Sirius.
It's true. But
oh my god.
You just threw me off there.
Sorry.
Yeah, and that's basically how it is. Just how can everyone be used for Dumbledore's endgame?
Yep. Where does he need to put where? Who does he need to put where in order to?
And maybe it was just
to achieve the ends.
Maybe Sirius wasn't even a pawn. Maybe he just didn't belong on the board at all. Like he had his game planned out, and Sirius there would have just thrown a monkey wrench into his whole plan.
Yeah, I don't know as Dumbledore was anticipating Sirius escaping Azkaban.
No.
And finding out that actually Sirius didn't do it. And Peter Pettigrew is still alive, and he did it.
Crazy.
That is a personal opinion.
But okay.
Dumbledore did do Sirius dirty. That's how I feel about it. He did.
Brain's gone in so many different directions. What were we talking about dealing with Sirius that got us to this point? How are we bringing this back?
We started talking about Kreacher and being in the house, and how being in the house was so detrimental to his well-being.
Oh, yeah.
And then somebody said Dumbledore plays favorites.
That's right. Yes, and Dumbledore definitely does play favorites. Like, that's something you can't argue against.
See, Katie would say that he doesn't play favorites, that everyone's just a chess piece.
Well, agreed, but chess pieces have more power than others, So maybe not favorites, but favorites in the term of how much they can do for Dumbledore.
Right. AKA Snape.
So, not
or
like
Harry.
You're my best buddy type favorite, but I could use you favorite.
Yeah. AKA Snape.
Exactly.
Harry.
He's going to put more effort into keeping Snape alive than he is Sirius.
Yeah.
And more effort into keeping Harry alive for now.
For now.
Than Sirius or Snape.
Dumbledore does admit, though, with Harry, it became harder and harder with Harry because over the years he grew to genuinely become so fond of him and really came to love Harry.
Yeah.
And that it made it very hard for him. I would agree. Sirius is a liability because he's reckless. That because he just gets in his passion and his anger and he just makes decisions. Dumbledore don't like that.
That's true. Dumbledore could have used occlumency to see if Sirius is guilty. I think we had this discussion at one point. That's not really a good way to go because memories can be manipulated and distorted. So
for legal purposes, occlumency is not or would not be seen as a branch of magic that you would want to use in a court of law to determine anything.
Yeah.
Plus, Sirius was just never given a trial.
Yeah.
Sirius did things Dumbledore didn't foresee. He had no idea about him being an animagus. He had no idea about the map until end of book 4. He was a variable he didn't plan for.
Yeah, exactly. He didn't belong on his chessboard. It was going to throw off his entire plan.
That's pretty much what I think.
Yeah, it wasn't necessarily that Sirius wouldn't have had a place, but Dumbledore just didn't want to go back and figure everything else out around Sirius.
Or try to rely on Sirius to play this part because Sirius is very impulsive.
And Sirius has been locked up in Azkaban. I mean, Dumbledore doesn't know what he's really capable of at this point.
Yeah.
And that's another thing. Sirius was locked up in Azkaban for 13 years.
12 years.
12 years, sorry.
Katie says, also, Dumbledore has no reason to use legilimency because he thought he was guilty.
That's true.
Dumbledore literally had no reason to try to use legilimency or even try to further investigate because based on the events as they occurred, Sirius was guilty and there was no reason to further investigate anything.
Yeah.
So Dumbledore just went with it because there was nothing else there to lead Dumbledore to think something else had happened.
And might be another reason why Dumbledore didn't bring Sirius on, because he might have thought that Sirius was a little salty that Dumbledore didn't do more to see if he was guilty or not. Dumbledore just kind of sat back and, yeah, he's guilty.
He ruined everything.
Yeah.
But if Dumbledore could trust Snape, why couldn't he trust Sirius?
I think it comes back to that Sirius was in Azkaban for 12 years. He was around Snape. He knew everything about Snape for 12 years. So he knew, he could probably tell whether or not Snape was, lying or if something, he knew Snape's abilities and he wouldn't send him on anything too dangerous that was beyond his abilities. Sirius, he had no idea.
Well,
number one,
he sent Snape on plenty of super dangerous things.
But I'm sure he had an understanding of Snape's abilities and wouldn't have sent him on any mission that was beyond his capabilities. Sirius, you have someone who knows magic to the degree of someone who just graduated Hogwarts. After that, he hasn't been able to practice magic for 12 years.
Or do anything.
Yeah. And he also just doesn't know what Sirius is about. He knows he's not guilty, but he doesn't know what his mental state is at this point or what he's doing.
Well, he does know that his mental state can't be in a very good place because he's been around Dementors for 12 years.
Yeah.
The other thing, too, is that Dumbledore knows that Snape is loyal because he knows Snape's secret.
That's true too.
And
He's got that.
he understands Snape's secret on a personal level because he and Snape share the same pain.
Mm-hmm.
They both caused the death of the one person, or in Dumbledore's case, his family, that they loved more than anything, and it was destroyed because of them. And they both spend the rest of their lives atoning for it.
But
That is
no,
why but that is the crux of why he trusts Snape.
But that isn't good as a defense against why he didn't trust Sirius, because Sirius has gone through the whole thing.
I'm getting there.
Okay.
So he knows innately why Snape is doing what he's doing, because it's why Dumbledore is doing what he's doing. They're linked in that way. Sirius has just gotten out of Azkaban. Dumbledore orchestrates the events to save his life with Harry and Hermione, right? Mm-hmm. And then Sirius is on the run, and then Dumbledore finally decides, oh, well, Dumbledore, I think at that point feels like, okay, Sirius is free, we've whatever, and then all of a sudden we get, oh, but we're going to reform the Order of the Phoenix. We need to use Sirius's house. That'd be the perfect place. So then he pulls Sirius back in, and beyond using his house, I don't think he wants to do anything with Sirius because Sirius is too volatile. He doesn't know who he is anymore. I'm pretty sure Dumbledore probably understands, too, that the man has spent 12 years in Azkaban and might not be the most stable person. I don't think Dumbledore thinks that Sirius wouldn't be loyal or would betray them. I think it's all about Sirius being extremely impulsive and not in a good mental state to do what Dumbledore would need him to do. Because Sirius has demonstrated his greatest strength and flaw is his loyalty to his friends. Mm-hmm. Dumbledore knows that. But that's not the issue. The issue is the impulsivity and the mental instability, I think.
Okay. Well, you didn't really touch on what I was going to say. Okay. You were saying that Dumbledore and Snape both say that they're the reason why they lost the person.
Yeah.
Sirius did the same thing, though. He blames himself because the person he loved the most, being James, mm-hmm. died because of his actions. Mm-hmm. So I'm just saying, like...
Right. The difference is Sirius spent 12 years in prison. Yeah. Sirius is incredibly impulsive. He's not mentally in a good place.
I'm just saying that the first part doesn't really add up for why he trusts Snape more than Sirius. That's all. But yeah, the fact Dumbledore that he hasn't had 12 years to to kind of feel Sirius out.
I think that's a big thing. Yeah, I think that's
he's a wild card.
Yeah. Snape and Dumbledore are mirror images of each other in a lot of ways and have had a lot of time to develop that trust in this and that. And then Sirius is just, it's I think a good way to put it. He's a wild card. Dumbledore just can't count on being able to predict what Sirius is going to do.
Yeah, like Katie said, he formed a relationship with Snape and understands his motivations. Dumbledore giving him a wand, I mean, I don't think it's that Dumbledore didn't necessarily trust him with a wand, perhaps, but to go out on this, like, a mission where you have to watch each other's backs, I mean, are you going to want to go out with someone on this deadly mission who has been in prison the last 12 years and hasn't practiced magic in that long? You know?
Or that you're going to trust that that person is going to follow the mission exactly to the T that Dumbledore needs you to follow it so that everything works. Uh, um, so that everything goes exactly according to plan, or somebody who you can't trust to change the plan, make a split-second decision because some shit happens, and then all of a sudden, it just we're not doing the plan anymore. We're doing this. You know, it's like Sirius strikes me as the kind of guy who, if he's gonna go on a mission and do a thing, and it's supposed to be super covert and secretive and this and that, and like something happens, instead of maintaining cover, Sirius would be the guy that says screw it and goes out all guns blazing, blowing the cover, fighting everybody, and then it just, whatever was supposed to happen doesn't happen. I think that's what would happen, and that's why Dumbledore's like, we can't do that.
He'd Leroy Jenkins it.
Yeah.
Just Katie, Dumbledore trying to explain everything, like, alright, so we're gonna go in, we're gonna do this and this. Don't worry, guys, I got this. Whips out his wand.
Expelliarmus! I think that's exactly what would happen. I think that's what Sirius would do. To answer your one question, Katie, I don't know if Dumbledore gives him a wand. I mean, I know he has one. I don't know if Dumbledore gives it to him specifically, you know? He was, Katie's right. He never had the chance to emotionally mature because of Azkaban. How old was he when they went? What were James and Lily, 21?
Mm-hmm.
So James and Lily were 21, so Sirius was arguably 21. So fast forward 12, 13 years, he's still like 21.
Yeah.
Just in a 30-something-year-old body.
Mm-hmm.
That's terrible. But that does explain a lot of why he acts the way he does, I think.
That's true. I think another aspect of that is going back to what I talked about earlier, is that he never wanted to just get away from his family as much as he wanted to defy them. And I think that's another reason why he is the way he is. And I think there's definitely like an underlying theme that the child kind of suffers the consequences of the family. Because to the end, everything bad that really happens to Sirius is because he defies his family. And it's that whole defiance of his family that ends up killing him in the end.
And by the same token, it is also the blind loyalty that Regulus shows to his family that ultimately puts him in his position.
Mm-hmm.
That also ends up resulting in his death.
Yeah.
So both Black brothers take total opposite directions, but both end up dying way too young.
For the same reasons.
For some of the same reasons. Consequences of the actions of your family. Well, I'm just going to throw it out here. It is officially headcanon in my head that Crookshanks bought Sirius's wand.
Crookshanks?
That's what Katie said. She goes,
How did Crookshanks get money? Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So Crookshanks could have gotten him a wand.
Yeah. Okay, I guess so. Very weird. Ollivander, his cat comes in. But the wand chooses the wizard, so how can someone else buy you a wand?
Unless Ollivander was in on it.
Maybe
Ollivander is in on the secret about Sirius.
Yeah. I feel like wands aren't something you can just buy online. You know, you got to be there in person.
Well, I mean, you can. It just doesn't mean it's going to work for you.
Yeah.
But you can.
Well, I guess after you figure out...
buy a wand.
After you find out what type of wand you need, like the core, the wood, the full length. He probably could just, hey, I need this wand made. Can
The
you do
wand
that?
chooses the feline. Maybe. But I also just want to know how Crookshanks got money out of the vault.
That's a good question. Goblins don't seem like the type to, take a cat seriously, even if it is
Unless,
a measle.
unless, well, I doubt that goblins really care whether Sirius is a criminal or not either.
Well, no.
So,
Money's money.
money's money. Maybe Sirius sent Crookshanks with a note.
Yeah, that could be it.
And, the goblins were just like, oh, Sirius Black sent this cat. Okay. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe Sirius sent a note. Maybe the goblins just don't give two shits. That would kind of seem to be in line with how goblins feel about stuff with wizards. I don't think they care.
Give this cat 30 galleons, Sirius Black.
Yeah. I don't think they care.
How do they carry the money then? I guess give him a little pouch carry this.
Yeah. You'd have to have a... Goblins don't care. Molly got out money for Harry. That's true.
Yeah.
Goblins don't care. As long as they have the money, they don't care.
No. A wizarding version of Amazon Prime.
Oh, and Bill got money.
Oh, yeah.
That's true too. So
Wizard Prime.
they have it. They have owl delivery service.
Well, yeah, but it's not Prime.
Yeah, but they have magazines and things where you can like mail order stuff.
Okay, that's mail. That's not.
They don't have the internet though. I suppose
They
you
kinda
could
do.
probably
They have the Flu Network.
you could flu powder packages to people. Maybe
Yeah.
you'd have to like put your head in the fire and tell it where it needs to go, and then poof, the packages maybe just flu powders into somebody's. Unless flu powder only works with human, like people, like alive.
That's true.
You have to be
'Cause
alive.
They have to say. I guess they would have to hold the package and do it, and then
Yeah.
deliver it, and then go back.
Yeah. There's
So-
Amazon Prime, I guess.
Yeah.
Hello, Marcielo. How are you? So there's Wizard Prime. You've got because
Yeah, that's it. George is going to become the Jeff Bezos of the world. He's going to start it.
and Owl Order is pretty fast. Because Hermione talks about it in book 4. Or is it book 4? When Harry gets his broomstick kit. His broomstick, no, it's book 3.
Oh,
Harry
the
gets
cleaning.
the maintenance kit,
Yeah.
right? She says in the letter, like, I ordered it through blah, 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 and it got here really quickly. Yada, yada, yada.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. There's a passage where Hermione talks, like, it's in her letter or something.
2-day owl delivery.
Yeah, yeah, there you go.
Hermione's got Prime.
Yep. She knows. Well, she lives, she lives in a Muggle house.
That's true.
She would know. I mean,
But
granted,
this was the 90s.
It was the
so
90s.
You could only order books from Amazon at this point.
well, that's true. Well, that's all Hermione would order from Amazon.
It's fair enough.
Okay. Yep, chapter 1, Owl Post.
Chapter 1. Alright, seems like the stream's good now, so
Oh, that's good.
I think we can talk about Sirius a little bit more.
Okay.
It's been solid so far. I swear if we mention Sirius and it just says poor stream quality.
Maybe the YouTube just doesn't like Sirius
Yeah.
Black.
Don't you talk about Sirius Black.
Speaking of post, I love the tropical birds that Sirius uses to send Harry mail in 4.
Oh, yeah.
And I just like Harry thinks about Sirius sitting on an island relaxing.
Hmm.
And it makes him happy. But it just makes me think about all the other birds that the rest of the wizarding world must use for mail.
Right? Like,
do Costa Rican wizards use toucans?
that would be great.
What do Australian wizards use?
Cassowaries.
Cassowaries.
Emus. It's what the Great Emu wore.
That's really what it was about.
Yeah.
It was wizards.
It was the equivalent to UPS and FedEx getting into a war.
Ah, gotcha. I like the idea of the Australian wizards using cassowaries, though.
No one would try to steal your package, that's for sure.
Yeah. It's getting to its destination.
Yeah. No,
And it is getting paid for its service. Like the owl that delivers the paper for Hagrid.
Yeah.
Yeah, that cassowary is getting paid. That's happening.
Or else.
Yes. Sirius bought Ron his owl pig. That was a very nice thing to do. That's true. He got Ron his owl.
See, Sirius can be nice.
Sirius is nice all the time. His heart is always in the right place. Just doesn't always work out, but he always has. He's very kind-hearted. He always tries. I mean, he buys Harry his broom.
Yeah.
You know. Now I remember what those birds look like.
Like raptors.
Yeah, we have one at the park. His name's Kevin.
Scary. Yeah, so getting back into like good and bad Sirius, I think really the only bad thing that he did was sending Snape down the tunnel.
After Lupin?
Yeah.
That was a bad.
And you might not like me for this, but I don't think it's bad because of the harm that could have been done to Snape, but the harm that could have been done to his friends. Like, that's supposed to be one of your best friends, and he was going to wake up to a bloodbath the next day. Just confused. What happened?
Yep.
Whose arm is this in my mouth?
Yep.
Tastes greasy and deep fried, though. What is this?
Yeah, that's true. Sirius got pig for Ron because he felt bad he didn't have a pet anymore.
Yeah.
Because his pet ended up being a man.
A man that he cuddled with his entire boyhood.
Yep.
Ron's gonna need therapy.
They don't have therapy in the Wizarding world.
He still needs it.
Well, yeah, a lot of people in the Wizarding world need it, but they don't get it.
Maybe Hermione will introduce him to it.
Maybe that's how they keep their relationship going. Hermione's like, you need to do this. You need to sit down and have some conversations.
In the Wizarding world, you just suck it up, Buttercup.
Yes, you do.
Get over it.
Mm-hmm. Or not.
Give your balls a tug.
You had to do that, didn't you?
I did.
The stream. Yeah, we can all make stupid on the spot decisions when we're kids.
Yeah.
I think it was a clear-cut case of Sirius just did a thing and didn't realize the consequences of it, especially at the age of 15. You know, you think you're invincible, and he was probably just like, yeah, go down in the tunnel and see what happens, Snape. Didn't think that, like, oh, what if Lupin, like, kills him? I don't think that thought ever occurred to him, because I think had he thought it through, he probably wouldn't have done it. But there again, that's Sirius's impulsivity to just do things. But if he'd have thought about it, maybe he wouldn't have done it.
It was Snape, so I don't know. That could be up in the air. He might have still done it.
Katie just said maybe if he'd have stopped to think about it, he might not have done it.
Yeah.
I think that's possible. Not so much for Snape's sake, but for Lupin's sake.
Yeah. That's my whole thing with it is. It wasn't
one
bad.
Thing to do
it was
Lupin.
It was Lupin.
It's one thing to do it to Snape. It's another thing to do it to Lupin.
Mm-hmm.
Harry was just as impulsive and did things without thinking them through. Yeah, he does. Yeah. He does do that. Harry does do that. And yeah, Katie, I would agree. If he did it as an adult, that'd be totally different.
Yeah.
Harry can be very impulsive sometimes. But that's why he's got Ron and Hermione to kind of ground that in him.
Mm-hmm.
Because, yeah, sometimes it shows up most in Order of the Phoenix when he acts impulsively and just goes, and Hermione's trying to tell him, no, we can't just go. We have to think about this. There are other actions we could take, yada yada yada. And Harry he just says, screw it, nope, we're going. And it all unrolls, and Sirius does the same thing. He goes, screw it, nope, I'm going to save Harry, and boom, it results in his death.
I know. Really, Sirius is the most like Harry, and then, James and Lupin are kind of his Hermione and Ron.
To a degree, I think.
Because, I mean,
I would say that Hermione and Lupin are the most alike. Right?
yeah.
They're the cool, collected, logical
And always reading a
characters.
book.
And always reading a book. Like, that's the parallel there. Hermione and Lupin.
And then Sirius and Harry are really impulsive. But then James and Ron, like, they kind of went along with Harry, but they're the ones that end up kind of grounding him in the end.
But Ron, like Sirius, is so steadfastly loyal.
Well, yeah.
That's Sirius's biggest quality, is that he's loyal to his friends.
Yeah,
That's
why he
his
turns
thing.
into a dog.
Yeah. Yeah, Dan, that's a good point. The midnight duel. That is an impulsive decision.
Yep.
The difference between 90% of Harry's impulsive decisions and Sirius's impulsive decisions, I think, are Sirius makes these impulsive decisions based on his passion and anger over things.
Mm.
Harry makes these impulsive decisions 90% of the time based on gut instinct. Like the Sorcerer's Stone. Dumbledore's not around. This is happening. We gotta go do it.
Yeah.
And it's like based in his gut. And the majority of the time when Harry acts impulsively based on his gut, it works out. Like the stone, like the Chamber of Secrets. And then other times, not so much, like when he puts on the invisibility cloak and creeps on Malfoy in Half-Blood Prince and then gets curb stomped.
Yeah.
That was a bad impulsive decision.
And then, yeah. And, I mean, Sirius, I'm sure he had a lot more, but he impulsively sends Snape down the hidey hole. And
yep,
that went badly. And then he has the impulsive decision, hey, you know what, Peter, why don't you do it? And that turned out badly. I think
Sirius, because Sirius is so loyal and so willing to do anything for his friends, that's how he sees other people, and he believes and wants to see the best in other people. So he assumes that because how he would respond to protecting James and Lily, he's assuming that Peter would also behave the same way. So his whole decision at the last minute to go with Peter is impulsively thinking Peter is a better choice because no one will suspect him, and he's as loyal as I am. All of us together are all as loyal as I am, and they would never do anything because I would never do anything. And he projects his loyalty on other people.
I do think that he thought he was just as loyal as everyone. I don't think that's necessarily the case. I think it would have been anyone just because they were marauders, and Peter has shown that loyalty up until that point.
I think he believes that Peter is on the same page, that he's just as loyal.
I wouldn't necessarily say it's because Sirius thinks of that of everyone.
I think he tends
all his friends, but
I think he tends to believe the best in people, or at least wants to.
Unless it's Kreacher.
And
his brother. Or anyone in his family, really.
And Snape.
Whose name isn't Andromeda.
And Snape.
And Slytherins, just in general. So.
Yeah, I think you're right, Katie. Harry's thing isn't so much a selfish impulsivity as like it's a saving people thing.
Yeah.
Harry has a saving people complex a little bit.
Yeah, he's got a hero complex. Like,
A little bit.
Harry is of the thought process that no one can save these people or stop this besides me.
Yeah, I have to do it.
Yeah, it's on me.
Yeah. And I think that's why what happens in Order of the Phoenix needs to happen, because he needs to learn that it doesn't always have to be him, and sometimes when he goes on that and does it, it doesn't always work out. You need the help of other people. And unfortunately, he has to learn it in the worst awful way possible.
Yeah.
But I think that's why his saving people thing happens the way it does in Order of the Phoenix. It's very tragic and awful. Sirius didn't trust Lupin, that's why they didn't tell him about the snitch. Draco makes Harry act impulsively. A little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Harry just wants to
get him.
Get him so bad.
I know.
He doesn't think clearly. He's
he just gets stuck on it and he's like, I'm gonna get him. I'm gonna get him. I'm gonna get him.
Kind of like Kreacher with the half-bloods.
Mm-hmm. Katie says, I think... So someone asked... Gaming with Cook asked, why couldn't James be his own secret keeper? And Katie said, I think if the secret is about yourself, then you need a third party to keep the secret.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's how it is, too.
That would be my assumption as well. If it's your secret, you can't keep your own secret.
But could they have made, the house and everything Lily's secret, and then...
No, because it's her secret, too. It's all of them, because they all need to hide.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, so, yeah.
The thing is, Snape already suspected Lupin is a werewolf, didn't he? Him deciding to listen to Sirius was just as reckless. I think Snape just wanted to know. He just wanted to know. He wanted the proof, and he knew, but he wanted to see it with his own eyes.
He wanted the confirmation.
Yeah, I think Snape was like,
aha, I got you.
Yep, that was, and Snape still has that issue.
Yeah.
He has it in 3 when Sirius gets away and has like a total meltdown in the hospital wing.
I would have loved to see that.
I know. I wish that was in the movie so bad. Where he just freaking screams at everyone. Oh my god. And then in 4, when Harry's stuck in the stairs, he like freaks out because he knows and he wants to get him, but he can't get him. It's just like repeat over and over and over.
It's almost as tragic as Trelawney. He's always right, but can never prove it.
Trelawney, yeah, she always...
No one ever believes him.
No, her.
No, Snape, too. He's always right.
Oh, I know. He can't prove it.
He can never prove it.
I know. Trelawney's predictions are always correct, but she doesn't go down the right hunch of the prediction. She doesn't...
Yeah.
Draco is the Dudley that Harry can fight back against. Sirius Black is probably a little crazy after 12 years in prison, knowing Wormtail is out there. Well, Sirius thought Wormtail was dead at first.
Yeah. And then he... Oh, well, how was it? He saw... Didn't he see him or he heard about him in the news? He read the newspaper.
He saw the picture of him in the newspaper.
And with Ron, he was Scabbers on Ron's shoulder.
Yeah, and he saw he was missing a toe.
That's how it was.
In book 1, it says Voldemort would be able to put his nose up to the window of Lily and James's house without being able to see them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wasn't Bill secret keeper in Deathly Hallows? Katie says, I think the secret then was the house, not himself.
Yeah.
I think that's also correct.
So, but the house seemed invisible, but Would you just see like Bill just laying in midair if he was laying on his bed?
No, I think he would be.
Or if the window was open, you know?
I don't think so. It's a funny image, but I don't think so.
Okay.
Sorry. Did Lily also always know Lupin was a werewolf, or did she find out from James?
Found out from James, I'm pretty sure.
I
Because
would think so.
I don't think it ever says anywhere, but I'm assuming that Lily and James got together and then secrets were shared and she kind of became a honorary marauder.
I would think so. I would think she found out about him being a werewolf, about them being animagi. You know, I think she would have learned all of that eventually.
Yeah.
In book 1, it says Voldemort. Oh yeah, we got there. I'd also just like to commend Sirius for the extreme mental fortitude that it takes to not go crazy in Azkaban.
He says that's because he was an animagi.
Animagus,
sorry.
I think that's part of it, and I think the other part is that he says in book 3 he had his innocence to hold on to. The concrete fact that he knew he was innocent kept him going.
That's true.
And then he finds out that Pettigrew is still alive, and I think it rekindles that anger and pushes him to escape.
Yeah.
But just the sheer mental willpower that took.
12 years of being around a Dementor, especially after we've heard what it's like to be around a Dementor for just a few minutes.
Yeah.
From Harry.
Mm-hmm.
Just constantly.
Yeah. Yuck.
So, yeah.
And he was high security, too, so. All right, Marcelo, we will see you next time.
See you later, Marcelo.
Did the book also have the line from Remus about Lily being there when he couldn't even love himself? I would assume that's referring to a time as teens when she knows. I think that's accurate. Yeah, I think Lupin does say that at one point, that your mother was there for me when he couldn't even love himself. Yeah. I think he does say that at one point.
So I'm assuming it was like 5th year when Snape's worst memory happened?
Yeah, because they took their OWLs.
Yeah. So yeah, probably, by like 6th, 7th year when James and Lily have been in a relationship for a while, sharing secrets, probably found out about Lupin.
Is that the movie? The scene on the bridge? Oh, yeah, Katie, you're right. It is from the movie. That's a movieism.
Oh, is it?
When Harry and Lupin are on the bridge.
Though, too?
No. No, because they talk about that's a line that they added in that they really liked.
Oh.
That's right. It's in the scene on the bridge.
Okay.
No?
There it is.
Stupid movies getting things jumbled up. I don't know if it is in the book. I don't know when it would have happened in the book.
Probably at the end of 3.
Yeah, but he doesn't talk to Lupin at the end of 3. He talks to Dumbledore about his dad.
No, he goes to talk to Lupin when Lupin's leaving.
I know, but they don't talk about his mom or his dad.
Oh, okay.
They just talk about how bummed he is that he's leaving.
Yeah, okay.
That's really what they talk about.
Couldn't remember how deep of a conversation they had. But I think, I don't know. I've been trying to think of ways to spin it that Sirius, wasn't a good guy, but I don't think he's a bad guy. I don't even think he's a gray character. I think he's just a good character.
Yeah. I think he's just got lots of troubles.
Yeah, pretty much.
And is very tragic.
He's struggling with a lot of issues.
He had a lot of really, really bad stuff happen to him and never had a shot. Yeah. He just really never had a chance. Katie says, even though she hasn't seen the movies in over a decade, she can still remember the scenes so well, and she gets the books and movies confused sometimes, even though she's read the books so many times.
It's easy.
It's very easy to do it. I think that Sirius knew that he was innocent, but it wasn't a happy thought because he still felt responsible for James and Lily. 100%.
Yeah.
V says that Sirius is chaotic good.
Chaotic good? Yeah. Okay.
I
That's
would.
actually a perfect way to put it.
That is a perfect way to put it. I would say that that's accurate. He's a wild card.
Yeah.
He's a good dude. It's just wild.
Crazy even.
He's like the star Sirius. He burns very brightly.
Too quickly.
Yes. He's definitely that kind of character in literature that just burns so brightly that it's that whole thing of when a flame burns so brightly it goes out quickly. That's exactly what Sirius is.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
I was so devastated when I read that book for the first time.
And Sirius died.
Yeah.
Beyond the veil.
Yeah. I was so devastated. I was heartbroken. Oh my god, I was heartbroken. I was so upset.
Where do you think the veil led to?
Death. Whatever happens after
Right, but
death.
his body disappears, so must have went somewhere.
I don't know. We've had this conversation
No, we
before.
haven't.
Yes, we've
No, we
talked
haven't.
about the veil. Yes, we have.
We talked about it, but we never talked about where Sirius' body went. It must be some sort of portal. I mean, obviously it kills you. It's death, but...
I don't think it matters, so I never thought about it.
Oh, it matters.
No, I don't think it does. You're dead. Death is death.
But is it?
Sirius is a good guy, just had a lot of bad things happen to him that messed him up. Everyone from Dumbledore to Hermione at times. Katie says she remembers reading that at 2 a.m. and being absolutely in shock. I remember sitting on my bed in my room reading that and I just remember my breath catching and I just started to bawl. I was so devastated by it. And then reading the next ensuing chapters with Harry afterwards and just being devastated and, oh my god, feeling so bad for Harry. Same time, too. That scene where he just sits by the lake on, like, the most beautiful day and just cries. That's so sad.
Mm-hmm.
It's so sad. I had to stop reading it for like a few minutes and then I went back and I reread it and I cried again because I was just like, no way, no way. Sirius didn't just die. No way. Oh, it was so upsetting. Still upsetting.
He shouldn't have died.
And then after that, it was Sirius died, and then, oh, boom, Dumbledore dies. Oh, boom. Half of the cast of characters die in the 7th book. Like, after Dumbledore died in 6, I was just ready for Deathly Hallows. After Dumbledore died, I thought, oh, here we go. All bets are off. People are just going to die left, right, and center.
Dumbledore had the most reason to stay alive as a character. Now everyone else is just expendable now that he's gone.
The scene with Harry smashing all of Dumbledore's things is so cathartic after that. Yeah, it really is. That release of energy and emotion in that office. Mm-hmm. And the ambiguity of his death. Like you said, where did his body go? What happened? He just went in the thing. And that was it. We never get answers. And we never get closure over what happened. I don't think Harry was crying at the lake. Did he? I can't remember. I read 7 before the movie came out, but the rest of the books I'd read after seeing the movie. I don't know if Rowling ever explained the veil, but I could imagine that she just wanted to write much scary and mysterious stuff in the ministry part.
Yeah, I think so. I think that was a big part of it, and also the... I think there wanted to be that kind of unexplained instance of death
I think it's a metaphor for the ambiguity of what happens after death.
Yeah,
That's what the veil is. In TV, the rule is if there's no body, they could come back.
that's true.
That's what I was hoping for in those last chapters. Like, that's what I think is so great about Rowling writing it is he goes beyond the veil. You don't know what it is. You know he's dead, but what? And then Harry is just searching for anything that could mean that Sirius isn't really dead, and that maybe he could come back. And Rowling like really hammers it home with the conversation with the ghosts and Luna and everything that Sirius is dead. He's not coming back.
Mm.
That's it. Ugh. Ugh.
You know, really weird thought, but it'd be interesting to see a spin-off kind of like Jumanji. Some kid just walking through the forest and then finds the stone.
The resurrection stone.
Yeah.
I could care less about something like
Maybe
that.
Harry goes back and tries to find it, and at this point he's like this crazy 80-year-old scientist kook trying to figure out how he can restore life, and he brings Sirius back somehow.
No.
That'd be interesting.
No. It's contradictory to the whole story. That's true. He does come back kind of in 7.
Yeah, he does.
Via the stone. Oh, you're very welcome. We're always happy to spend time and chat about books and characters and things. Yeah, I don't know.
I really don't have anything else to say about Sirius, really. He's just a good guy.
He's a good guy who was loyal to a fault, and his loyalty and some extreme passion ended up killing him, and that's what makes him tragic.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just such a sad character.
This is true.
But one of my favorites. Also, he's got a great sense of humor. He's funny.
Oh, Sirius?
Sirius is hilarious.
100%. He's just a great character.
I just got here after church. You had to switch. Yeah, we did. We had some wicked stream issues. Big time. And apparently we're still having issues.
We pretty much made it through the discussion now. Like, for the most part, we've got everything that we wanted to say said.
I think so. I think so. He's a tragic hero. He's very much a Greek tragic hero. I mean, if Harry would figure out resurrection, would he not resurrect his parents first?
But maybe he couldn't resurrect his parents because they are just they're dead. But Sirius fell through the veil, so maybe he's in like a weird limbo. You know, maybe he's in like this purgatory state. We don't know necessarily that he did die. He fell through the veil and disappeared. He could just be in some weird transdimensional.
But if that's the case, then he wouldn't come back with the resurrection stone.
That's true. I mean, maybe it was just like a weird place like between the cabinet. God. Remember what was the guy's name? He was stuck in the cabinet.
Montague.
Yeah. Maybe it's just a weird place like that. Maybe Sirius just fell in there and there was no exit and he just like starved to death.
No. I love the scene in book 5 after Arthur's attack. Harry speaks to Sirius privately and opens up about his vision. It's a rare moment between them that shows Harry can confide in him. All right, Mel. Sounds good. Dan wants to know if we changed cameras or resolution settings. Katie, he did.
Was it?
Probably the stream.
Yeah, I don't know. It shows that we're streaming in 1080, 60 FPS.
It's probably the servers or whatever.
Well, this is the stream on YouTube, so it looks clear for us.
I don't know. Yeah, he did. He died, Nana.
No, I won't accept it.
Yeah, he died.
No.
That's the whole thing about
No.
the veil. It's a big metaphor.
No.
That is what it is.
He can come back.
No, he can't.
I know. I'm just kidding.
The quality looks better. My favorite character is Dobby. Very nice. You're freezing occasionally. Yes, we know.
Oof.
We are aware.
Well, for some reason, it's uploading to Twitch fine. So I think after this, I'll download it off of Twitch and I'll re-upload it to the YouTube channel. That way, there's like a clear video.
Yeah, if anyone wants to go back and watch it or rewatch it or whatever,
yeah,
they can at least get it to.
So later on, so
we
don't have to have like stutters in our video. I'll do that.
Gary Oldman did do a good job as Sirius. Yes, he did. I don't blame Gary Oldman in the slightest for anything with Sirius and the plot. And yeah, I would agree 100% with that. Those moments where in book 5 when Harry confides in Sirius are great. Sirius listens to him without judgment or anything. He just listens to him and becomes somebody that Harry can confide in and is a father figure to Harry, even though Sirius kind of lives through Harry vicariously a little bit.
Yeah. The Lockhart spinoff would be great, like his life after he gets out of the mental wing.
Oh my god, yeah, that'd be fantastic. What would he do?
Lockhart, relearning life.
Relearning life. That would be interesting for sure.
Just him trying to relearn everyday tasks while also being a celebrity.
Yep.
Just walking down the street, not realizing why he's a celebrity, but just being bombarded
and
by fans.
Signing autographs and stuff. And like there's this inner monologue like, I still don't really understand why I'm so famous, but I do love the attention. That's true, Katie. Harry doesn't get very much time with Sirius at all. No. So when he does have time with him, it's so good. Those moments where he does get to interact with him are great.
100%.
Yeah, I think we touched on almost everything. I don't know if there's anything else to really discuss with Sirius. He's not as complicated as Dumbledore or Snape.
No.
It's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, I don't know.
He's a tragic.
I mean,
that's it. He's a sad boy.
I guess on that note, since we are having the issues, I want to wrap it up.
Yeah, maybe we should. Since we're having so many technological struggles, I think maybe we would just... I'm famous. Who am I? Well, they have that conversation in book 5 about whether Sirius would come back as a ghost, and Nearly Headless Nick basically tells him, like, no, he wouldn't.
Yeah. You have to choose not to go beyond to be a ghost, but then you're stuck here and you can't go beyond. So
yeah,
you kind of come to like the crossroads, like Harry came to with Dumbledore. You can either get on the train or stay. But in Harry's case, he had a Horcrux
in his pocket. But yeah. Poor Sirius.
Poor Sirius.
We love him. We will never forget him. He was the goodest of boys.
He was.